Hey y'all, welcome back to Vi Plays Create on the Makeshift SMP. I've got a different type of video for you today. Today is going to be what I'm calling a mega episode or a megasode. We're automating all of the crafting from A to Z in the crafting tree to obtain azurine, viridium, ochrum, and crimsite. There's a million steps in between and a lot of work to get done. So we're gonna jump straight into stuff. I've broken it down as best I can, but feel free to kick back, relax, or grab a snack, and welcome back to Makeshift SMP. This video took hours and hours and hours. Please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Oh my god, please like and subscribe. Oh my god. Farms. I've been talking about it for like 4 or 5 episodes. I don't even know anymore. But I've been trying to automate these 4 create mod stone types for literally weeks. And we've done a lot of great work in preparation for those stone types. But today, we're finally doing it. We're gonna automate snowballs. We're gonna automate milk. We're going to automate sugar via honey bottles. And using those components, we're going to automate milkshakes. We're also going to automate sweet berries and glowberries and pretend that's chocolate. I don't have any chocolate. Chocolate bars and chocolate itself by finally automating cocoa beans. Seems like a lot just to get 4 different types of blocks, but it's what I can use these blocks for that make them so powerful. And I know what you're thinking. You're going to crush them into zinc and iron and gold and copper, right? No, I actually just want these for decoration because we are finally about to enter the final phase of this playthrough. Because try as I might, 5 buildings and some roads does not a cyberpunk city make. And I kept running into this issue. I planned these builds in creative and there's a lot of blocks that I want to use. And those blocks are not the easiest things to get. And so to truly finish off this city, I'm gonna need all of them in infinite quantities. Hence why we're building farms today. Don't get me wrong though, I love these buildings. These are looking great, but we got a lot more buildings to cover and only a short amount of time to do it. Now, let's get some stuff together. Did you know that an actual record player has a diamond in its crafting ingredients? And no, I don't mean in the game, in Minecraft. I mean when you drop a needle on an actual vinyl record, the part of the needle that actually makes contact with the vinyl is made out of diamond, which is what most likely inspired the recipe in the Minecraft game. Yoink. Okay, so I was about to just start complaining about the fact that I can no longer bulk dye locometal, but oh my god. They have added so many colors of locometal. There's like orange, and in between orange and red, there's vermilion. Or wait a minute, no, there's just red, and then there's vermilion, and then above that, there's maroon. Maroon is like my brand. They've got dripstone, ochrum, chartreuse, flat olive, flat lime, green, pine, flat cyan, sea green, turquoise, light blue. Well, I mean, we kind of already had light blue, but you get what I'm saying. This is crazy. Look at all these new colors. I guess it kind of stomps on my dreams of having all of the locometal blocks easily accessible. Yeah, I was going to do something similar to all this, just using this dye thing instead of, actually breaking the blocks. Oh well. Now, it's time to get started on the farms. And I say we start with the easiest ones. The ones that we're going to need for all of these different milkshakes. Sugar, snow, and milk. As you can see over here, I have relocated some bees, and they are now ready to become our unpaid workers. And there's a very specific side quest in the Cyberpunk 2077 game that I'm thinking of regarding cows. If you know what I'm talking about, drop it in the comments. That's what we're going to do here. I kid. All of our products are ethically sourced. 100%. Nobody's imprisoned here. Unethical snow farm. Go! Anywho, we can start the first farm by grabbing up these blocks right here and basing this farm off of a design I've used previously. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you may recognize this one. Alright, let's just drop this guy down right here. Oh, I forgot this is a savanna. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure something else out here. Well, lucky for me, I have a couple small pockets of stony shores. If I go ahead and turn on my mini HUD here, in the top left, you can see the stony shore biome. And this guy apparently can survive in a stony shore. Alternatively, he can also survive in a lukewarm ocean. So I guess I could go out over the water and then go underground maybe. But I don't really need a lot of space for these. I just need the mechanism that's picking up the snowballs to be fast. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drop down a couple rows here of snow and a couple of these guys. And then I'm just going to lock their hitboxes into place by making sure they can't get up at all. And then it is literally just a matter of putting some plows on a minecart contraption. By dropping these guys down back to back, they'll actually be able to collect snowballs on the way there and the way back. And I should be able to just super glue all of these together like so. Stick this to these copycat stairs, and that is the whole contraption. I do think I'm going to swap these for some storage and a portable storage interface. And that is literally it. That's the whole farm. I can just flick this on and this thing is going to just, well, it should just run. Right. It would be important if I, you know, put a freaking minecart in there. Anyway. And we are already collecting snowballs. Crazy. But if I go ahead and drop down one of these in the proper spot, we can have this start offloading into a vault. Now I just got to run some power from over here. And by adding a little belt right there, this thing should go until it is full. And actually, wait, no, it'll totally go in like forever. But we can do a little bit of science here. If I throw down a threshold switch right here, grab out my redstone shulker, set this to stacks, and crank this all the way up to say around 1500, I should be able to just run a redstone line right over to this block and remove the lever. Now I can invert this, and anytime it's below that threshold, it's just going to turn the farm on. These guys' hitboxes are trapped inside this little space, so they really can't move around, and I really should remove some of these light sources, or access to them. But yeah, that's like the whole farm done. Super simple. I'm definitely going to need to add some light sources over here, though. It is dark. I hope you guys like puns, because there's going to be a lot of them. Now, next up, we have farm numero dos. I want to tackle milk. And I don't want to just be milking these guys whenever we need the milk. I think I'd like to have a buffer storage for it. And so that should be super simple. I have a bunch of these andesite fluid tanks, which are like a new create casing block. And I think we can handle liquids over this away. Out here in the yard, we can have some like cool like refinery things. And I think these will look great in this area. Since there's no real limit to how tall these things could be, I figure I'd just stack up 3 stacks worth, flip it so it's closed, and I mean, that's just like a big old pipe looking thing, right? Could be like the cool base of like a smokestack. And we'll just pop underneath the ground here to actually run some pipes. Ooh, and another cool trick we can do is since these are transparent blocks, I can line the bottom of this with light and it'll light up the area a little bit more. I'll have less creepers. I'm just going to grab up this cow and we'll bring you on over to where we're actually going to be storing you. I don't really want to have this guy outside just on the off chance, like, you know, lightning strikes and kills the entity. Yeah, I don't want that. I mean, no, actually, wait, no. We've got plenty of lightning rods in the area. Outside it is. I don't think he has to be on display or anything, but what I do need is I need to run a pipe to some item drains. And I'm going to have 2 different cows. So I'm probably, actually, let's do like 1 on each side and a block below those. And we'll have deployers facing back this way, poking the cows. Now all we need is to just encircle these with some sort of like, I don't know, glass thing. Actually, this is going to be 1 block apart. We're going to do like a full block of glass there. A couple of those. Steal you and put you right there. We'll grab up our other cow, float him on over here, and drop him inside the second chamber. Enjoy your house forever, guys. And I can completely lock these guys in place by just dropping a couple copycat slabs up above their heads. They're about 1.5 blocks tall, meaning that they really can't go anywhere. Now, behind our deployers, I should be able to just drop down a couple more of these item drains. We can have the empty buckets come out the backside here, and then we'll just drop down a couple item vaults on either side, which will reverse the direction that we can actually send the buckets. Using an andesite funnel, we can send the buckets into this and back out, and we can turn the right angle here by dropping them onto a depot at the end and sending them back into the deployer via an andesite funnel. The only one here that needs to be brass is this guy here because we have to filter it for an empty bucket. We can replicate the same system over on this side, and we can filter for those empty buckets on the back over here. Now, all we need is a little bit of power, which can be easily done by linking up a couple of these lazy shafts and running this on underground. Actually, come to think of it, this is going to be even easier if I just drop down a chain conveyor. Wonderful. I have power, and I can go ahead and split that power by adding this one just above the chain conveyor and running a couple of these shafts over. Then we can add a lazy cogwheel right there, mechanical pump here, and then I can run pipes to both this item drain and this item drain over here. I should be able to just connect these through here, and we'll start draining off anything that comes out the back of the deployer right there. Just got to run the pipes over to here and up into the tank. And that is a milk farm done. Literally, all I got to do is divide this stack of buckets into 2, drop 8 of them down here on this depot, and 8 of them down here on this depot. Oh, I'm realizing my flaw here. I filter them for empty buckets. They need to be filtered for milk buckets. I'm silly. And we'll have to do something to cover this thing up. But I mean, it's just cow farming. You're never going to believe how we get sugar. Sorry. Watching back that clip, I realized I did not refer to these cows a single time as female, so the implication of what we're actually draining out of them is... I also realized that this is actually not going fast enough at all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab another one of these here, another one of those there, another cogwheel right there, and now I can run 2 separate lines. So it'll be a little quicker. Now, finally, I want to get started on the sugar. I think the farm for this is going to be like super simple. I mean, it's just a honey farm. With createmod, I can hook pipes to the back of all of these and it will automatically drain the honey. I don't even need campfires below them. After all, I'm not the one clicking the thing and there's no one to aggro on. So now that they're all inside their hives, I can go ahead and grab up all of these. And since this is another liquid, we'll be taking this out to the yard. I know for a fact that not all of these have bees in them, so we're going to need to do like a little bit of a bee situation over here where we can breed a bunch of them. And I know what you're thinking. Vi, you need flowers to breed bees. What are you going to do? You don't have any flowers. A casual 1 million blue orchids. This will be my temporary bee sanctuary. Please come, enjoy. Here's all of the stuff. Make bee children. This is not how bees work in real life. Yeah, I'll just keep breeding these guys while I come up with a plan. You can't make an infinite honey source the way you can make an infinite lava source, right? Right? That's fine. We're already setting up the bee thing. So I have this idea in mind. In Cyberpunk 2077, the game that I reference so frequently in the series, there is the Biotechnica Flats, where they farm insects in order to create protein for food. And I realize I'm kind of breaking the fourth wall with this one, but what I want to do is I want to take this tent design and extrapolate it out, not dissimilar to the Biotechnica Flats. The problem with that being the Biotechnica Flats are enormous. And, well, this is all the space I'm working with on this part of the island. It doesn't exactly scream Biotechnica Flats. The natural solution is to just take this schematic, move it somewhere else on the island, and just copy it over and over and over and over and make a ton of these. The problem with that being, I need the honey over here. Also, yes, I have farmed up just so many bees. Literally so many bees. And I have all of these beehives, which all have 3 bees in each of them. And I also have 12 more of these I could probably fill. I wonder, are they all full? 2, 3, 2. Yeah, I'll probably have to wait for nighttime to fully check, but I want to have like a lot of bees. I just don't have the space on this island. And since I need the honey here for today's purposes, I'm gonna leave this. We can set up these docks right here to actually offload honey later on, and maybe we can actually move this structure. But for now, we have a small portion of the biosphere flats. Yeah, guys, I'm not that creative. The biosphere flats, yeah, they're going to be here, just so I can farm up a bunch of honey. For what we're going to do next, it's time to make sugar. And I thought of a cool idea for this. The internals of these farms are really, really simple. And on the back of these, I've just run a bunch of pipes to connect all of those and ran a pipe underground, connected to a pump. And that's making sure all of our honey is going inside this guy. And we've already got a lot. I've been breeding a lot of these bees, and in that time, we've gathered up 232 buckets. Now we just got to turn it into sugar. And with these, that becomes super simple. Essentially, we just need to spout the honey into a bottle, and using the vanilla crafting recipe, I can actually craft this into 3 sugar. Createmod crafters are super slow, so I'm probably not going to use those, but all I'll need is a circuit that'll just send bottles in a loop. And I think if I have an andesite funnel right here, it'll just send them out one at a time. And if I throw a spout right on top of that, all I'll need is a pump right here. This will automatically fill those honey spouts, and in front of this belt, I should be able to throw down a vanilla crafter. I can lock all of the slots except for one, meaning we'll never craft anything other than what we're trying to craft. And I actually don't know how this is going to function, so we're going to do a little bit of testing first. I'm wondering what happens to the glass bottle after the honey gets crafted into sugar, because normally in a crafting grid, it just leaves it behind. And at a createmod crafter, it ejects the item out with the recipe. So I'm just going to throw another andesite funnel there to send the glass bottles in, and it doesn't matter how full this gets, as long as it has a honey bottle in it and some sort of spamming redstone signal. I'll probably just use a couple of observers on a clock. This should be able to spit the sugar into this vault right here, where we can then send it on to wherever we're going to store the sugar. I'm going to throw a brass funnel on the back of this one, and we're going to filter this for a glass bottle. I can just extend that belt right there, and as long as these two are running in opposite directions, I should be able to just supply power to the bottom of this by throwing in a couple of these lazy shafts. And it looks like we're running the opposite direction. I'll throw another one of these brass lazy shafts right in there, and I can reverse the direction by simply clicking it again inside this UI. Man, these things are convenient. I'll throw another andesite funnel onto that, and now I just need to preload it with a bottle. Oh, and I guess I need to power that. That should work. Now I just got to throw a glass bottle onto there. It's going to fill that, and now we have a glass bottle in here. I just need to supply this with redstone power. I could use an observer clock, but I think I can also just grab a timer, which I have in abundance in my redstone shulker box. And I believe I can just throw this right here. And it looks like it spits the bottle forward as well. I'm just going to clean up these belts with a little bit of this stuff. And I realized I probably could have compacted this a little bit. But we can speed up this process by just tossing in a bunch more of these bottles. I don't think it really matters because eventually it will just bottleneck, no pun intended. But yeah, now we're farming sugar. Dreams and Desires seems to think that they're strawberries for some reason. After only a bit more finagling, I now have a dedicated line out the back side of this vault right here into a larger storage for sugar. We're sitting on 3,300 already, and I can now access that via the frog network. Now, it's time to farm the next 2 items that are going to allow us to make milkshakes. And by that, it's really just 1 item. The only thing we have to farm is sweet berries, because I can haunt those into glow berries. Nice, right? Ooh, I found a bar of chocolate in my storage system, so I can actually swap this out as well. Yeah, our example board is correct now. And over here, armed with my Wand of Symmetry and a newly cleared out space, I want to drop down a very, very large vat-looking thing. I'm going to try and get this relatively centered. 7 blocks radius with 1 in the center. I can now kind of eyeball a circle. That's a 5 wide segment, and then we can do maybe a 2 wide, and then maybe a 1 or something. 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks relatively circular. And down here on the ground is where I'm going to toss in a lot of this rich soil. Oh man, I do not use the Wand of Symmetry to clear space enough. Oh, I'm short. I could probably clear out the center. I don't think these are going to be nearly as used. But essentially, we're designing a radial farm. We're designing a radial farm to actually harvest these sweet berries. And I'm thinking, since I'm going to make this look like a big liquid vat, I should probably make several layers. So maybe more organic compound is in order. Ooh, and before I forget, let's drop down all of these guys. Bruh. I don't have any bone meal in my system. Luckily, I know exactly where I can get my hands on some. Yeah, I'm going to drop all 100,000 of this into my system. I love being able to do that, by the way. And so I spent the evening aging down a bunch of organic compost into rich soil and building up this little farm here. And I just finished decorating the outside. I unfortunately was going to time-lapse it, but then I was riding my quadricopter and I ran into something and then it blew me up. And then I interacted with my corpse and that totally corrupts the replay file. It's very annoying. But this thing is working beautifully so far. We already have 9,500 in this one and 7,700 in this one. These should be splitting evenly, but I think I threw a bunch manually into this one. And I am kind of wishing that I had given myself just a little bit more space. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to super glue all of this and move it over some. And then I'm going to haunt them before they get to the vault that's actually going to store them, because these are going to become glowberries. So I'm going to do a quick little whoosh. And look at that. We got some brand new storage silos over here, or vertical item vaults, whatever you want to call them. And I now have a method to actually haunt the berries that are coming up here into either glowberries, or we can just put them right away with the sweet berries. And I'll tell you how the actual farm works right about now. Essentially, we have a rotating contraption here in the very center of this thing that is harvesting on every single layer all of the different glowberries. But up here at the top of this thing, we can see, I have the power supply right here, a clutch right here, and an Omni speed controller slowing this thing way, way, way down. And below that, we have our mechanical bearing, which is set to only place when the anchor is destroyed. That way, if we ever need to turn the farm off, all we got to do is power this clutch right here via that signal. And that means that this thing will just chill. It won't break any of the sweet berries that are in here. It'll just stop working. And at the very bottom of this farm, we have that fancy new thing I've been using in some of my new radial farms. A portable storage interface at the very bottom and the very center of a rotating farm will always connect with the portable storage interface below it, meaning we can instantly offload whenever we want. Now, I am actually holding some items inside of this, and I'm only letting 64 out at a time so that we're dividing evenly between these 2 lanes right here. And this is set, I think it should be set to split. Now I'm saying it out loud, I kind of want to check. Ooh. Yeah, I'm taking a lot of damage now because I broke my boots walking around in those stupid sweet berries. My leggings are halfway through their durability, and I probably would have broken my helmet if I hadn't been wearing my engineer's goggles. But yeah, we're gonna need to go make some new boots here in a second. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. Now, eventually, when this farm gets backed up to where it can't put any more in either side, it'll back up all the way down the belt line, and then it'll start stacking up inside the actual barrel itself. And I have this threshold here reading the portable storage interface, which then reads the moving barrel at the top of the farm. farm, and I'm waiting for it to get to 1,500 items, which is just less than a full chest or a full barrel. And once it gets to that point, it will turn the farm off completely. I'm using these faster industrial fans from Dreams and Desires because they will process things 2 times faster than the normal vanilla Create ones. And I also have some down below here blowing up from the bottom, so we should be going like 4 times faster than a normal fan. And if we were to ever stack up multiple, we would process them all at the same time. Bit overkill, but I want this to be as fast as it can be. Now, it's time to take a brief stop and go make myself some new boots. Alright, super duper maxed out boots acquired. I can now go about my jumpy little way. I'm making a suspicious amount of progress. It's time for a side quest. Now that we have access to unlimited amounts of sweet berries and glow berries, I would start immediately on chocolate, but I know that I also need access to lava infinitely. And I don't have an infinite lava source over here. In fact, I'm still relying on my old one from spawn way long ago. And I think it is more than time to finally get one set up over here. Problem, the truck that I'm using to transport all of my lava, the one that I would use to make an infinite lava source, it's kind of cut off because I never actually sunk any of these tracks underground. I just laid out all these roads and then never finished them. So let's see how fast I can do this. Your boy's running out of time for this episode. If you were unaware, this is how I actually sink all of my tracks underground. I'll grab a schematic of an entire area, and then I'll drop down a barrel right next to a schematic cannon, replacing blocks, place it back in the same location, and just drop it down like 4 or 5 blocks. I always named the schematic something like delete later, save and upload immediately, and then drop it right back down. And then I look for like some recognizable landmark I can align it perfectly on top of, and from there I can just move it down several blocks. I should be able to hold control and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should put all of the tracks in the perfect location. You just got to make sure you add nothing else to the barrel, otherwise it'll replace a bunch of your work. I always set the schematic cannon to replace solid with any, and then grab up as much narrow gauge track as I can get my hands on. The best part about having the automated system making track all the time is that I never really have to wait. As soon as one schematic is done, I'll just grab up the track that I need for the next one, because this area is chunk loaded and all of this stuff is running in the background. Should be able to just press play and it's going to lay out all this track for me. It won't replace any of the sloped segments, but that's perfectly fine as long as you're careful digging it out. And I have a roller contraption that helps me out with that. Now I just got to grab the schematic and another feather and repeat the process. Well, that took far too long, but now we have rails run underground, all signaled up, all dug out, all lit up, made sure everything's nice and beautiful. As beautiful as underground gross looking railways can be. Oop, just don't look at some of the lines over here. And I'm all business today, no more messing around. I'm gonna grab a schematic of this, since this is meant to be something that holds liquid, probably fuels, so like kind of makes sense that it would hold lava. And I want to make an infinite lava source out of one of these guys. Sort of. It's gonna be a facade that holds an infinite lava source. And I think right over here is a great place for it. If I go ahead and grab my chunk boundaries right here, I've always been super paranoid about infinite lava sources getting emptied out whenever they're partially loaded, because it happened to me once. I don't know if it's still a problem, but I'm, again, always paranoid about that type of thing. And wow, this thing is right on the edge of a chunk border, and I don't really want to put it underneath this. So that means I'm going to have to set it all the way back here, and it's going to go right up against the B thing. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to move this. This is very much a temporary thing. I should be able to grab just a schematic of just the vat itself. And I should be able to drop this down right in the middle of, oh wait, is this smaller than a chunk? Oh, I guess it is. Oh, that's actually kind of convenient then. So as long as this is somewhat aligned to the edges of a chunk, oh yeah, we're totally fine then. Yep, and I think this is exactly where I'm going to put it. I'll do some terraforming to fix it up a little later on. I can toss this schematic right into my schematic cannon right here, send through a materials checklist, and just so long as we don't have any sweet berries or anything, it shouldn't be able to paste any of that stuff in there. If it pastes anything else, I'm just kind of fine with it, whatever. I mostly just want the materials that are going on the outside, which I should be able to do by just dropping in a bunch of this stuff. Oh, and just so it doesn't look so samey, I'm actually going to rotate this one time. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. And with everything ready over here, let me just... And look at that. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's exactly where I want it to be. I just got to clear out some of this inside stuff, and then we got to dig down exactly in this spot. Now inside here, I can just drop down a layer of drills, making sure I count the top layer, and then we can divide that by 10,000 to know exactly how many sources we need. That is 177 drills right there. And by connecting it up to some power and giving it a little bit of super glue, I should be able to connect this up right here. And now we should be going down a lot of layers. Actually, before I do that, let me do this. So I know for a fact 10,000 divided by 177 is going to be 56. I know this is about 13 blocks tall. So if I dig down 45 blocks and place like a little marker, I should be able to like make sure I don't dig too far. I mean, I've got some sea lanterns on me. That should be easy enough to see. Now, once the drill gets to this, I should be able to stop right there, and that should be 10,000 source blocks. I can drop that guy back in there, and now all I got to do is switch to this direction. And on it goes. Oh, frick. I think I went too far. Oh, yep, we hit the, we definitely hit this guy, which is where I wanted to. Oh, okay. This should be well over 10,000 blocks of lava. And now the last thing to do is to fill it up. All right, I now have some temporary pipes set up to run all the way up to the top here, where we're going to dispense the lava into this large vat. I just got to drop down a hand crank on here and go down maybe like that far. I don't really want it touching the roof, but like we want it to be able to fill up this entire space. So that's a pretty decent spot. Now I just got to go grab the fuel hauler and drive it on over here. Oh, perfect. You're here waiting for me. And now I can go down and around onto this road right here. That turn is kind of insane, but I can pull right up and we can make a station right where we're going to park this thing and offload this lava. Now, as far as spots, that is a pretty, I can't believe I just nailed that first try. Now, all I got to do is toss down a train station, basically like 1 block in front of this spot. And we'll call it a lava offload or something. Now, if I pull forward just a little bit, park at that station, and drop down here, I should now be able to... Oh, I probably already am offloading lava. Oh, here it comes. Beautiful. Now all we got to do is alter the train schedule that's on the lava hauler, and we should be good to go. This thing can run infinitely. Hello, sir. Can I have your hat? All right, we've just added another stop. So it's going to go to the tower first, then it'll go to lava offload, and it'll wait for 10 seconds before it moves on. So long as the cargo isn't changing. But I should be able to give that back to you. And you're going to try and leave. Great. Awesome. How about we don't do that? After grabbing a little bit of dinner while I was AFK, we have now filled up quite a bit more. Not quite halfway, but closer. But I've also thrown down a chunk loader right here in a 5x5 grid. So even if I'm not in the area, this thing will continue to fill up until it's full. That truck's going to keep making the rounds, but I can start automating chocolate in the meantime. The deforestation that happened for me to get all these cocoa beans is bonkers. Now I know this one's also a liquid, but I have to farm the cocoa beans before I do anything else. And I think I want the cocoa beans inside here. I don't think this one has to be rocket science. I just need some jungle logs and some cocoa beans. And I really didn't have anything in mind for this one, but I think I'm just gonna... Now, I haven't actually tested this, but I'm pretty sure that if I put down some harvesters, they will pick these. I'm pretty sure. Actually, hold on. In my last playthrough, I definitely did this, and it definitely works. So I just need some supporting blocks and a bunch of harvesters. And I think I'm going to swap these supporting blocks to girders. Just kind of makes more sense this way. I'll drop a barrel down right there, a block of industrial iron, and a bunch of powered rails, stopping with a controller rail. And then I should be able to drop down a cart assembler, a lever, and a minecart. Now all I need is a portable storage interface to offload. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Now I'm just going to super glue all this together, and we should be good to go. And now if I power the controller rail, it does in fact harvest. Oh, okay. I kind of forgot that this needs to be in lock rotation. Now we should be good to go though. I just got to run a little bit of power over to here, attach this guy to the belt, and throw in a little shipping container. And now if I drop down one of these guys to accept the items and a brass funnel to send them out, we should now be getting all of our cocoa beans into here. Ooh, and I can do this. Just go ahead and dye this thing brown because, you know, cocoa beans. No! I logged on just in time to see the bottomless supply thing, but I didn't get it recorded. Dang it. It just hit bottomless supply. Just barely. So now I think I'm going to go in there and I'm going to redistribute some of this. Oh well. I went and slept and now this thing is a full bottomless supply. Meaning that is one more thing we get to check off the list. Meow. We've got our sugar, we've got our snowballs, we've got our milk, we've got our flowers, we've got our sweet berries and our glowberries, we've got our lava. One of the very last items, and I mean like literally one of the last things, is to create chocolate. Like a lot of chocolate. I just had a thought. I have a few more of these rich soil left over from whenever I was making the sweet berry farm, and I'm kind of wondering if these will work on the cocoa beans, and like if that would be to my benefit. So I'm gonna grab all of this. We're gonna stick this under some cocoa beans and see if it like gives it the bone meal effect. And the only reason I'm even thinking about this is because we do not have enough cocoa beans yet. All right, let's see if this thing will do the little sparklies. Oh, okay, it does the sparklies. Might need to rework this farm then, or double it up or something. All right, to truly expand the cocoa bean farm, I decided to throw down a little bit more automation just so I can make some more rich soil. Essentially, I just have to make 2 times the amount of organic compost, and then I can turn some of that into liquid fertilizer over here, filter it, and then pump it into this guy to then be spouted to make rich soil. That way I don't have to wait. I am a lazy boy. But yeah, I'm gonna let this run now. I didn't want to wait, and now I'm waiting. Yeah, now that looks like a much quicker cocoa bean production. Oh yeah, this is gonna be way faster. After adding a new entrance to this side of the building and clearing out all the space inside here, I think we're finally ready to start working on chocolate. And for that, we're actually gonna need a few more tanks. And I want these fancy new ones, so we're gonna go grab some from the main storage. Yeah, I like these andesite ones. They look kind of like industrial mixers, like stuff you would find in like an actual food processing place. At least whenever you close them, like you don't want to like have the liquid showing. So now, we need a spot to make chocolate. And I think right over here should work perfectly fine. I'm just going to drop down a couple of these tanks right here. Now, if I'm honest, I don't really love the way this chain conveyor like just spans the room. So I think instead I'm going to go to the corner here. I'm going to drop down a few of these, connect a new one to there, and I think I'm going to go around the room. Yeah, that looks quite a bit better. Just encircling the room like that. Now I've just got to reattach all these frogs that I had connecting to that chain line. Frogs reconnected, and I have all of them now linked to the same system right here. And so the next steps of this process should become incredibly easy. I just need to make sure I have access to this chain network. I can now have frogs connecting to basins, calling for items to be made based on the frequency of a threshold switch, or more likely a factory gauge. And I think I'd like to make this tileable so I can make a bunch of these all stacked up next to each other. Now I have a tiled version of this module that can make a bunch of chocolate. Obviously, we're going to need a heated blaze burner down below. So we're going to be running lava from our infinite lava source over to here. And then we'll be running milk in between each of these 2 modules via this pipe right here. I'm going to be locking the lava pipes with weathered industrial iron. And then I should be able to run the milk pipes right past them without getting any interference. And I now have a lava pipe running down from my infinite lava source underground through the roadways and over to where we're actually going to be using these heated blaze burners. Now I just got to do the same thing with the milk pipes. And after running a few more pipes, we now have milk in all of our basins. And the final thing to do is to grab out a bunch of factory gauges, link them to our network, and stack up 2 on each of these packagers so they become restocker gauges. And we're going to want cocoa beans in the left side and sugar in the right side. And we can name this Vi Chocolate 1, Vi Chocolate 2, Vi Chocolate 3, and so on and so forth. I can now paste that recipe in each of these, and we can set the request amount to 20 of each item. And we're going to start making chocolate. We should. Oh wait, no, we're not going to make chocolate. I totally forgot I have to run power to this. And now we're making chocolate. Oh, I should probably also filter all of these to make sure they're making the correct thing. Oh yeah, we are making a lot of chocolate super quickly. 22 buckets, 24 buckets, 11. Perfect. I've attached a pipe to these 2 tanks right here, and I've run it down and over in front of this big old brown vertical item vault. I'm going to drop some depots in right here, 3 basins right there. And out the backside of these, you can see we've got all the chutes for this. I can now grab my chocolate, filter for each of these, throw a press on top of each of these, and run a pipe down to the bottoms of each of these. I can now rotate this cog into place, and that's going to start pumping all of our chocolate from those 2 tanks into these 3. And I've just now realized I can't route power to the side of this. Hold. And I'm now officially making chocolate bars. Ooh, there's so many sounds. I've started losing... There's a lot of sounds in the area, okay? Listen. Chocolate is done. Do you know what that means? Do you have any idea what that means? We officially have every single item on this entire array. This entire crafting tree is fully automated, and there's only one thing left to do. Now, I set up these scaffolding to hold the final result for the 4 blocks we're actually trying to automate. Azurine, Crimsite, Ochrum, Viridium. And I've color-coded these vertical item vaults as well. So we have a full max-size vault for each of the different items. Now that I'm looking at this orange, I'm kind of thinking I should have made this one yellow, but it's fine. We're already here. Oh, yeah, I guess this is also going to go through these. Don't love that. I'm going to have to change that. Womp womp. And I also made up a few more of these andesite fluid tanks to have a small buffer storage of milkshake. But I do think I'm going to work from this side and go backward just to make sure I'm maximizing my space. Also, let's reroute this chain while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that should work a little bit better. We kind of clipped through this one, but whatever. It's fine. You call it stealing. I call it working smarter, not harder. Well, I thought I had pretty much everything done, but I just realized that we're also going to need to superheat the blaze burners that sit underneath these basins. Ooh, I'm also experiencing quite a bit of lag. Might be time to change my VPN. Hold on. Okay, seems to be a little bit better now. But I'm going to need to supply our blaze burners with some sort of superheating element. Now, we actually have a mod that changes some of those things and adds a few extras. And I now have access to something that actually is renewable and is pretty fairly easy to access. If I craft up a couple of these inactive blaze cores, the only thing that I need in order to reactivate them is to flint and steel on the inactive one to upgrade it to a blaze core and then spout lava on top of the blaze core to raise it to a superheated blaze core. In case I'll use these in our power plant to supply all of our power for the entire island, and we have thousands of them. I'm gonna go steal a few and he'll never know the difference. I mean, realistically, there's only 4 types of stone, meaning that I only really need 4 blaze burners, meaning that I only really need 4 of these inactive blaze cores. Over here at the power plant, ooh, it looks like almost everything is on. Is almost everything supposed to be on? I'm not entirely sure. Queso hasn't been on in a minute because he has been having some PC issues. I did go through and make a bunch of repairs because this power plant does require maintenance. I'm just gonna steal like maybe 8 of these, and honestly, look at this. He will never know. I mean, until he watches this video, and then he will definitely know. If you're Queso, say hi in the comments. Dang, this port is really starting to turn out. I'm liking this. I'm liking the changes. So now, I'm thinking, we have a supply line of the blaze cores, and then we have our blaze burners. I also think I'm going to raise this area up a little bit. It's going to make my life a little bit easier. And I really don't think I need to be making these super fast if I'm going to have 100,000 of each of the blocks at a time. So I'm just going to do this with 1 basin and 1 hydraulic press, which is goofy because I made like a stack of them at the beginning of this episode, but it's fine. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have like a catwalk floor up here, and then below that I'll be able to like run pipes and things, and it'll just make my life a little bit easier instead of having to dig down below. So from here, I'm going to need some mechanical arms, and I think I'm just going to do like 1 mechanical arm for these 2. We're going to grab the items from here. We'll deposit it in either of those, and then I'm just going to plant this guy down right here, and I'll do the same thing over on this side. I'll route some power around to make sure these guys are able to move, and I'll just have these loop with a vault on either end. I'll have them go that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. Now I just gotta make sure the belts are moving opposite directions, which is super easy if I just throw down a gearbox right here, and then a couple chain conveyors, or chain drives, whatever those are called, you know what I mean? And I think while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and go through and make sure these are pretty as well. And I think we should now have power. I just gotta go to the backside here and right-click that with a wrench, and we are moving. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter which direction we're moving because it's going to be opposite, so it should loop these. Oh, and I've just realized I don't actually have a spot to deposit them to refill them. Dang it! Either way, just to see how this works, I drop it onto there, and he's going to superheat this guy. It's kind of goofy to me that these don't burn you. I feel like this should be like magma blocks. Yeah, now he doesn't have anywhere to deposit this thing. I suppose I could put on the backside of one of these vaults a small circuit that will actually renew them. If I just do this, I can have a spout in the third slot and a depot in the second. And so long as we supply this with flint and steel, we're good to go. I don't know how I'm going to get that flint and steel over here or whatever, but I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult. I'll probably just stock it up to start, and then, you know, eventually I'll need to like have something here that automates the flint and steel. I can filter this for the superheated blaze cores. It's kind of impossible to see, but just trust me. And then I can throw a couple andesite funnels on here, and anytime one of these inactive ones gets over to here, it's going to stop right over. Well, I haven't connected that to power, but yeah. Okay, now anytime one of these comes over here, but yeah, it's going to get to here and it's going to stop, waiting to be reignited. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drop these guys down as deposit items to these two, pick up from here, and then we want to drop them back down on the belt right there. Bloop, 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 bloop. Superheated blaze cores are solved. Wonderful. Now I have a factory gauge there and a vault there so that we can supply this thing with flint and steel whenever we are ready for that. I'll set up some sort of auto crafter and like maybe like a little miniaturized iron farm to make sure that we're supplying that as needed. Now I can drop down a basin on top of each of these with a hydraulic press on top of each of those with a pump running into the back here that will then have to attach to some form of infinite water. Something else I'll take care of down the line. Now we're going to need to supply these with some liquids. One being lava, the other being milkshake. I haven't actually done the milkshake yet. That comes later. But I should be able to bring lava up the back right through here. I just got to run lava from here over to there. And I'm going to make this lava transparent all the way down so that it doesn't interact with any other pipes. Except for this one right here. I'm going to have to probably hit this with a pipe wrench just to make sure it doesn't connect to anything I drop down right here. I've now dropped down a few of these vats over here that I should be able to supply with milkshake, which is where the final liquid comes into play. I'm going to run to the right side of every single one of these, one singular pipe and a pump. And so this one will be vanilla milkshake because that's going to be azurine. This one is going to be chocolate milkshake. This one's going to be glowberry milkshake. And this final one will be strawberry milkshake. This one will also need to be supplied with a secondary liquid here. And that is just going to be regular chocolate, which I'll have to run from over there. Now this pipe should be run all the way over. That's going to be our chocolate line right there. I can finish it by just adding one more line right there. And now we're going to be pumping chocolate all the way over. As soon as it realizes it's going the right direction. We're supposed to be going the right direction. Please, maybe. Thank you. There we go. And now we should get chocolate all the way over. I now have power routed around to all of the pumps to get the milkshakes into the basins and for the presses themselves, as well as the pumps to get water into those hydraulic presses. One of the last things being to actually add water to those presses. Oop, and I kinda goofed. I've just realized that I meant to have this side open so that I could send the items on a belt into these vaults here, which is why I arranged it like this. And I didn't do that, and I've definitely goofed it. All right, and I've done a bit of reorganizing. I now have a flat surface over here. I realized I was using the pipes up above like a dummy. The whole reason I put down the catwalk is to run pipes underneath the ground. Whatever, it's fine. You get it. And now I'm running the different milkshakes underneath across here, up into the side over there. I'm making sure they don't connect by just straightening the pipe right above each of these. And now everything on the backside is outfitted as well. I essentially just slid this vault or container over a block so that I could run the output belt right past this. And I did that on all of these. Each of these basins is now theoretically outfitted with all of the liquid they need. The last thing we're going to do is add a packager to each of these, grab out my factory gauges that I have linked to the network, and I can place these on the packager as restocker gauges. Oh wait, I'm totally wrong. Each of these only needs one restocker gauge. Now I can link these frogs over to this chain network and drop this down on top here. I'll name this frog Crimsite Production, or actually I should probably put my prefix on this. I'll name this frog Ochrum Production. This one can be Viridium Production. And this last one can be Jeff. Yeah, I caught you. You weren't paying attention, were you? Now whenever I go into my little restocker gauge UI, I can request sandstone over to the azurine one that we've named Jeff. And I can set the threshold on this one to 40. And now somewhere over there where we're actually farming sandstone, a package is going to get put on the line. Maybe, oh, I thought I saw it. There it is. And this thing now has the sandstone we need. And I'm just going to do the same for all of these. We've now got granite for the Viridium, terracotta for the Ochrum, and deep slate for the Crimsite. And the last and final step is to produce the milkshakes. Frick, I'm totally stupid. I don't need the chocolate to come to this basin. I need the chocolate to go to the other basin. I need this to go to the basins back here where we're actually going to be producing the milkshakes. I don't know why I thought it had to go to that process. Whatever. And by connecting this one here, I should have milk supply over there as well. Yes. And I added in a 3x3 one-layer tank here just to make sure we have access to at least a little bit of a buffer of milk over here. I don't really want to be bottlenecking in this area. And this is something that I've heard about, but I've not tested. I've heard that createmod pipes have infinite throughput. So long as you add the number of pumps that you want to use, it will scale like 1-to-1 for each pump, I think. The fact that I can't describe this very well means that I just really don't understand it, but hopefully you can kind of get where I'm going with this. I need 9 different basins worth of milk to be supplied, and I need it to be that fast, I guess, is where I'm going with this. Hopefully this works. Now I have these set up with all of the liquids they're going to need supplied to all of these different mixers, and I'm going to use this same trick with packagers and frog ports and restocker gauges to supply all of these with the items they need. And I'm not gonna, I mean, this video is already so long, I'm just gonna cut to whenever that's done. And bada bing, all of our packagers are now outfitted with all the factory gauges we need. Yay! And they're all, I mean, this process takes forever. You gotta like go in and like click the thing and like assign it to the right thing and then like do this and like get it to the right spot. And it's just really annoying. Also, I decided to use this same trick that I've got over here. Oh, creepers. I've decided to use this same trick that I have over here where I'm powering packagers and then putting those into another vault. I just did it over right next to our offload vault, which is where we have all of our packages of blue orchids. I just did it right here. So all of this is pulling packages out of this side and dumping them into this vault here. And I've just connected this vault to our network with a frog port and a stock link. And this will actually work through the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and close that off. I did almost forget that I needed to have a frog port on the chocolate bars as well. And we have one of those now, but that means we are officially done. Like done. The last thing we need to do is connect this guy to power, which realistically is as simple as throwing in one of these right here and right there, running a few of these over and connecting that. And I think, oh, just kidding. I never connected the mixers, but I should be able to just drop this down here and throw in a couple of those. And I think, ooh, I didn't actually filter the basins. I'm gonna go filter all of the basins. Oh yeah, I'm definitely making the wrong things in these ones. Dang it. We're now filtered for the right stuff, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to remove these basins and drop them back down, which is annoying. Okay, I think now we should be producing everything we need. Also, I didn't even think to check, but like, is this stuff producing over here? Oh, of course it's not producing. We don't have the flint and steel we need. Yeah, and in record time, that is an iron farm. I've only spent 61.29 days on this server. First iron farm. That's gotta be some kind of record. And after getting this iron farm hooked up to a little bit of an auto crafter that is making our flint and steels for us. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a crafter in there. I hooked that system up to the network, and now this guy automatically stocks its own flint and steel. And our system has been running. It's been running for a while, and I'm sitting on 12,000 Crimsite, 11,000 Ochrum, 12,000 Viridium, and 12,000 Azurine. And it's been hours. Like, it's literally been overnight. And this area is chunk loaded, so it was running whenever I was asleep. But it's become clear that our bottleneck is sugar. So I think Biotechnica Flats with more honey production is in our future, very near future, so that we can keep up with the production of sugar. And wow, this episode has truly been a megasode. And while these quantities aren't quite infinite, we are getting there. Let's do a quick recap of all the stuff we've gotten done. We started it out with a super efficient, very compact little snow farm. We added in a whole milk production array over here. We started farming honey for all the sugar needs we have. We added in a sweet berry farm and an infinite lava source, cocoa bean production, chocolate production, and chocolate bar production, a little mini iron farm, farm. And then we automated the 4 milkshakes that are going to allow us to automate create stone types. And then we automated those stone types. What a process. I know this was a long one, so if you stuck around to the end, you're actually goated. And I think in lieu of a better sugar production, it's time to call it. I appreciate y'all so much for watching. If you like the video, like it. And if you want to subscribe, you should do it. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.